So who's a fan of Tom Ford fragrances? Are you a fan? I know there's a bunch of you out there that enjoys Tom Ford fragrances. And do you also enjoy the Private Blend collection? What are your thoughts on the Private Blend collection? Let me know, put some comments down. So guess what? They have just relaunched some of the vaulted or discontinued fragrances from Private Blend. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about 7 of them. There's 7 of them actually. They are Rive d'Ambre, Jonquil de Nuit, Italian Cypress, Velvet Gardenia, Black Violet, Amber Absolute, Arabian Wood. 7 fragrances back, only selling in the large 250 ml decanter bottles, and they are outrageously priced. $2,000 for each bottle. I'm going to tell you all about these fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yeah, today we're talking about Tom Ford's Private Blend collection fragrances that have been brought back from being dead, discontinued, vaulted, whatever you want to call it. They have relaunched them and they are now selling at Neiman Marcus. In fact, I heard about this a week ago and I've been wanting to put a video together. I found out from my sales associate at Neiman Marcus, Colleen, and then I forgot about it and I wanted to do a video, as I said. So I went back to Neiman Marcus to pick up something before I left on my trip to London. And so she said that it's now selling. So they are selling now. And as I was putting my notes together, I took my notes down from Neiman Marcus because I couldn't find these fragrances on Tom Ford. Maybe they're exclusively selling at Neiman Marcus, or maybe they hadn't put them up at Tom Ford yet. But one of the fragrances I noticed off of the Neiman Marcus website said there was only 2 bottles left. So that's a bummer. Already selling out, and at this price, that's really insane. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about the 7 fragrances and what I think about them. I've sampled 4 of the 7, and 3 of them I have not sampled before, which I'd like to get my nose on. But if I can't, I'm not going to be hurt. But one of them I really, really want, but that's the one that's only 2 left in stock as of the shooting of this video. So the first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Rive d'Ambre. So this is a fragrance I did get to sample. In fact, I had just gone into reviewing fragrances, and this particular fragrance was put out, launched in earlier part of 2013, and I was fairly new in the fragrance community doing fragrance YouTube reviews on the old channel. So I remember sampling this one. I wasn't wowed by it, but I'm kind of interested in smelling it again. So Rive d'Ambre is a 2013 launch. It's a citrus amber or amber citrus fragrance and created by Olivier Gillotin, who I got to meet in Miami at the World Perfumery Congress. He won an award there, and he's created a ton of Tom Ford fragrances. So Rive d'Ambre features notes of Italian bergamot, orange bitter oil, benzoin Laos, pear wood accord, Tolu balsam, golden amber accord. So this is not a very exciting fragrance for me because it is, after all, a citrus, and typically citrus fragrances I do enjoy a lot. I'm Mediterranean after all, I love citruses, but they're not the ones that I write home about, like, oh my god, you gotta go smell. There are a few exceptions, and this one was not that exciting to me, but still I'm really interested. It kind of reminds me the idea of something like Ambre Calabria from Nichane without the greenness. This has the warm notes, it has this citruses, the fresh, invigorating citruses. So I'm curious to experience this one, but it's a combination of the citruses and the amber. It's fresh, it's spicy, it's warm and spicy at the same time, because you have not only the warm notes but spices, you also have fresh notes with spices, so you kind of have the experience of both. And of course there's some aromatic touches in here as well. So I'll sample it again, but the problem is apparently Neiman Marcus told me that they're not putting these fragrances out. So maybe they're online exclusives, I don't know. But man, that price tag is really, really high to begin with, so I'm not doing any blind buys of this particular fragrance. There's one that I might do blind buy of. Alright, the second fragrance that I'm going to talk to you about is Jonquil de Nuit. So this is the fragrance I have not smelled. I have not smelled or got my nose on this one. I'm not sure how I missed this one because it had launched in 2012. And I don't know when it got discontinued. I just never saw it, I guess, or I don't know. I'm not sure why. But this one sounds pretty interesting. I'm definitely interested in sampling it. It's a 2012 launch created by Rodrigo Flores-Roux. It's considered a floral. So it's got Narcissus Absolute, Jonquil Absolute, Violet Leaf Absolute, Mimosa, Florentine Orris, and Amber. So it's a powdery and also ozonic floral fragrance. Yellow flowers, Mimosa, and Narcissus has a yellow floral touch. Narcissus is a very interesting flower. I really enjoy that particular flower. I like it in fragrances. It can go a little animalic, but it can also remind me of Easter for some reason, because it's just kind of associated with spring and things like that. But the Mimosa will create a little bit of a powderiness with a light almondy essence. And of course, you've got the Orris in here as well. So it's a very powdery fragrance, including the amber, except it's contrasted with that kind of greenish violet leaf absolute in here. So this one sounds exciting. I like these kind of fragrances. I like the way Tom Ford did fragrances back in the old days. They were a little more interesting, a little more vintagey or classically inspired, whereas nowadays they're very, very modern fragrances for the modern generation. But if you've gotten your nose on Jonquil de Nuit, let me know if you're a fan of it. And also, if you've gotten your nose on these current versions of these fragrances, let me know as well, because I don't know if I'm going to get my nose on these, because as I said, Neiman Marcus here is not selling them in store, so you have to order it online. So the fragrance I really, really would love to get from this collection, still not blind by it, is Italian Cypress. And this is the fragrance that I saw on Neiman Marcus that said that there was only 2 bottles left. Again, it's a very, very pricey fragrance. It's $2,000 for a 250 ml bottle. That's outrageous. That's really, really, really expensive. I'm not sure if I would ever spend that kind of money. Now, there are promotions that happen, dollar off, % off. I will not do the gift card promotion on this because you do have to pay $2,000. But if there was dollar off on this, I might take advantage of it, but again, it's only 2 bottles left. But this Italian Cypress was one of my all-time favorites from Tom Ford's private blend collection. In fact, on the old channel, I had a review comparing it to Halston Z14. I really like Halston Z14, but the current version I had at the time that I had bought in 2012 was already kind of not the best. Even the current version of Halston Z14 is even worse than that. And I always felt like Italian Cypress is a really great woody Chypre fragrance, and it was a great alternative, more of a beefy, luxurious alternative to Halston Z14. It launched in 2008. It's a woody Chypre fragrance. Love that style. Very classic. And it's created by Carlos Benaim. It features notes of cypress, mandarin orange, Calabrian bergamot, basil, Iceland moss, Indonesian patchouli. So I don't know why this one got removed, but I know around 2010, somewhere around there, or 2012 maybe, I know there was all kinds of regulations coming in from IFRA, so maybe that's why this one got removed. I don't know, but it's being brought back. And the other thing I'm concerned about is, are these smelling very similar to what they were smelling like back then? Most likely they're reformulated, so they're going to be a little different. But this fragrance was amazing. I really, really loved this fragrance. And once again, I'm not going to just shell out $2,000 blind to get a bottle. If there was a promotion like $1 off, because sometimes, you know, if you spend $3,000, they'll take $1 off, things like that. I do like that kind of a thing. Yeah, this is a really, really great Chypre fragrance that I really enjoyed. So it's woody, it's got earthiness. There's definitely mossy touches. There's, you know, aromatic and green touches. Very fresh, very spicy, and of course citrusy as well. Are you a fan of Italian Cypress? Let me know, put a comment down so you can find out. And again, if you have sampled the current version of these fragrances, let me know as well. So Tom Ford's Velvet Gardenia is another fragrance that's made a comeback and unvaulted from the discontinued vaulted collection. This is a 2007 fragrance, and it's a floral, and it's created by David Appel, who I know of. I don't know personally. I've seen his fragrances. This fragrance features notes of Italian tangerine, 1 million flower, gardenia, resinifera centrec, Indian tuberose absolute, cistus absolute, Haitian vetiver. So I took the notes down from Neiman Marcus. As I said, I couldn't find the information on Tom Ford, and of course I didn't want to take information from Fragrantica and places like that. Since Neiman Marcus is selling these fragrances, I thought the notes would be fine. So I don't know what resinifera centrec is, and I don't know 1 million flowers, so I should have looked that up. But this is my least interested fragrance out of the whole entire collection, so I kind of left it aside. But you know, I do enjoy gardenia. We grew up with gardenias at the house. We had gardenias growing in the garden, and then also mom and dad really loved the smell, so they had them in vases in the house because I really enjoyed it. But once again, this fragrance doesn't sound that exciting to me, so I'm fine with it. But if you're a fan of it, let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out, and maybe I can get my nose on it, but it would have to be brought to the store, obviously, because this is definitely one of my least interested ones, and definitely will not be doing a blind buy of this one. I wish there was a way to buy samples too, because then we can experience the fragrances, but most of the time these unvaulted fragrances are for folks that already know the fragrances and they're missing the fragrance, and then they repurchase it, and then they go, whoa, that fragrance does not smell like it used to be. Now I spent $2,000. So that's my fear with this collection. But anyway, Velvet Gardenia, if you're a fan, let me know. But on the other hand, Black Violet is definitely one that I've sampled, that I want to get my nose on again, and would love to have a bottle, because when I sampled it that 1 or 2 times, it was usually the bottles were behind, not selling anymore, they were pulled already, and I've been enjoying it from that, and I really like the way the Black Violet smelled. It's that really Tom Ford style dark noir theme of fragrances, and they did a really good job back then when they had, you know, this particular fragrance, and somewhat they still do, but I think they've kind of moved on from that kind of a theme of dark noir and things like that. But Black Violet sounds great. It's a 2007 launch. It's a woody floral fragrance created by Clement Gavari, Pascal Garin of IFF. I think they're IFF. Yeah, they're definitely IFF perfumers. So this is featuring notes of Italian bergamot, Orris Absolute, violet wood accord, patchouli, sandalwood, vanilla bean. This one sounds amazing, and I remember smelling it and it was really, really amazing. So I really, really want to get my nose on this one again so I can potentially buy it. I believe it's very woody and violet forward, and it has powdery touches and mossiness, and then some light fruitiness and earthiness from there as well. This is a really, really a great fragrance from what I remember. If you're a fan, let me know. And also, as I said, if you've sampled the original version and the current version, have you seen a difference between the two? I know noses will notice that for sure. If it's really close, probably not, but most of the time, if you do, if you're really familiar with a fragrance and you smell a different version of it, like a current formulation that's been really changed dramatically, you will totally guess. But this Black Violet is the second fragrance from this relaunch that I want to try. So I think this next fragrance is probably the most loved in the community out of the 7 that I'm talking about. It's Amber Absolute, originally launched in 2007. So I think when I got into Tom Ford fragrances, I believe Amber Absolute was already discontinued, and I never really got to experience, but I think they brought it back multiple times already. In fact, I remember it, this could be the 4th or 5th time since I remember the fragrance not selling and them bringing it back. So how different is it currently? But the reason why I haven't really jumped on getting this fragrance and loving it like everybody else is because by the time this was gone, I got into the game and I really started falling in love with fragrances like Ombre Perso, Ombre Sultan. Later we got Grand Soir, and so I never really got into this fragrance, but it's really, really loved by a lot of folks from what I remember. And so that's one of the reasons, like, I felt like, okay, it reminds me of those fragrances. Do I need another one that's very similar? Plus the price tag of Tom Ford fragrances are always very expensive anyway. Not like this though, but that's why I never really got into it. But I'm sure one of you out there is a fan of this one. So originally launched in 2007, it's considered an amber. It was created by Christophe Laudmier. It features notes of amber accord, African incense, labdanum, sandalwood, patchouli, vanilla bean. And so it's got the amber touches, it's got the resinous touches, it's got smokiness, it's got woodiness, balsamic touches, it's got some sweetness, and of course powdery, spicy. Yeah, it's a great fragrance. I've smelled it before. I just don't have it because it reminds me of a lot of other amber fragrances, and I felt like it would be redundant to have this one. But glad it's back. So last but not least, it's Arabian Wood by Tom Ford. That's the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about. And this one I got to sample as well. When I sampled this one, I sampled Arabian Wood, Italian Cypress, and Lavender Palm, which Lavender Palm I hated, I despised. I hated that oily lavender smell. It was just a weird fragrance for me. But this one really does stand out. It's also a Chypre, once again. I love the Chypre fragrance, and then this one also kind of leans classic, and it's created by, once again, Rodrigo Flores-Roux, the second fragrance of his creations that are brought back. This features notes of patchouli, lavender, galbanum, Bulgarian rose, orris, and cedarwood. So I like like the combination of patchouli and rose. They really do blend really beautifully together. This has green touches from the galbanum. Could have a bitter greenness, stemminess. And of course, it's got powdery touches and aromatics, lavender mixed in the mix. And of course, it most likely settles to a bit of an ambery, woody thing. More woody than amber, but I feel like it would settle to something a little ambery, because most likely this particular fragrance also features labdanum, typically found in Chypre fragrances. So this one I remember smelling great. It's a rosy Chypre. I'd like to smell it again. Man, they've got a lot of rosy fragrances, Tom Ford, the House of Tom Ford, and this, yeah, it was a really good one. So I'd like to get my nose on. So the order would be Italian Cypress, Black Violet, and Arabian Wood. The rest I don't really care too much about. I'd like to get my nose on those three and smell them. But once again, the price tag is just outrageous. If there was a promotion, like I said, if you spend a certain amount and they take 1,000 off or something, or 500, I might be persuaded at the time. But the fact that Italian Cypress said it was only 2 bottles left, I don't know if they're going to restock it or replenish it. We'll see what happens. Most likely I will not take advantage of any of these, but I would love to. But let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Are you a fan of these fragrances? Did you ever wear the original versions? Are you interested in wearing them now? What do you think about the price tag? Isn't it outrageous? It really is to me. Would you still buy it? Are you a big fan of these fragrances that you would still spend $2,000 in that big decanter? I have to say that decanters do look beautiful, and these have the gold, you know, the labels on them as well. So anyway, those are my thoughts today on this Christmas Day, I should say. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Christmas. I wanted to get this video out today because in case you guys are, you know, getting money for Christmas and you want to buy some fragrance, you can buy it, especially if you're a fan of these particular fragrances. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye, and Merry Christmas to everyone. See you.